Once again, we are back with Ek Bond Soch Ki Tea Talk, Train of and Thoughts. If you'll see, world over, there is a crisis of an leadership. Let it be nation, let it be corporate, let it be institutes. They are the big crises as the leadership which goes like. Various leaders have got their own style of and functioning, whether it might be democratic, autocratic. Based on the situation, there were different style of and functioning which is there. Now there has been always a debate whether leaders are born or leaders are made. I think in today's forum we have got Dr. Satish Mode with us. Here, like basically when we talk in terms of leadership, the challenges that lead to the new learning are often great sources of leadership stories. So I think on this platform we are having Dr. Satish Mode. Amazing journey right from childhood till now. There has been a consistency. Let me introduce Dr. Satish Mode. As for the academic career which concerned, he did his B in electronics, then ME in applied engineering, and then MFM he did from Bajaj Institute. And he was a founder director of a World Hindu Economic Forum, where the think tank working on the leadership, they debate on at a particular platform. So I think we have got a right personality to discuss in terms of leadership. And then again, sir's long tenure was in public sector. That's he was an AME with an Air India, where I think at the corporate level, at the corporate strategy level, and he was also a member of an business transformation group and executive assistant to COO then. And then sir have authored various books. I think right from 2000 till 2014, at a certain phases, the various books we could see of an sir. And then basically he had developed a personality indicator based on the gunas, which I think in our discussion we are going to cover that aspects. And there is a book what sir had written on Discover Arjuna in You. There are the 18 steps which are there, which I'm sure like in today's scenario, all of our audience would like to listen about Discover Arjuna in You. And sir, welcome to this forum of an tea talk. I think at many a time we have seen people, they are saying they have no time, they have no time, they have no time. And many a times they are confused like what they need to do in a career like. Sir, as far as your college distinct studies which goes, you have started with BE. Was there any doubt in your mind that आपको BE करना है कि आपको और कुछ करना था?
I was very good in studies, but I was very much attracted towards Hindi literature. And in my childhood, my dream was to become a Hindi poet. I was highly impressed with Maithili Sharan Gupta, Suryakant Tripathi Nirala, and poets like that. So after 8th in my days, the stream used to bifurcate from 8th and 9th, 10th, 11th, these 3 years were there, various streams. So I thought that I will take arts as a subject and I will take Hindi as a major. But my principal didn't agree with my life goals, and he convinced my father that he is a brilliant student and you will be wasting him in arts. So I landed in science and I continued to study. So I got into engineering, which I pursued. I did my master's degree in engineering and later on landed a job in UPSC, Indian Engineering Services, in Ministry of Information Broadcasting. And my first posting was in Doordarshan Kendra, Mumbai, but which lasted less than 6 months because I didn't like the setup. And I joined Air India as aircraft maintenance engineer, which in my introduction he said that I was there as an aircraft maintenance engineer with Air India nearly for 30 long years.
That's a long tenure. And also you are the gold medalist in BE, like in ME.
Yes, in master's degree I was a gold medalist, but this gold medal and all, they are all just nomenclatures. It is depending on the competition which you have. One should never take too much pride in being a gold medalist or something. Life takes its own tests which you have to continuously pass. This gold medal, silver medal and all, they are good to talk about, but I don't give too much value to them.
Since you wanted to get into literature, like And but I think your father and your mentor, I think they have identified that you can be good into and engineering, like anything still in your mind after doing your engineering also. Literature is core to your heart.
Yeah, I was very good in Hindi, and I continue to write in Hindi. I can prefer to give my speeches in Hindi. But unfortunately, English has become today's language of communication. But wherever I find acceptability that people are willing to listen to me in Hindi, I talk in Hindi. But unfortunately, all our engineering education, management education, even my PhD, that is all in English medium. We teach in English medium our management courses, so we are forced to use this alien language as our medium of communication.
Okay. I think it's an interesting, like maybe at an earlier age, many times you will see children, they are defocused, they don't know what they do in life, but parents, they force them to get into a particular kind of an academic, उसको engineer बनना है, उसको doctor बनना है. And whereas I think you could see like as for the education which goes, I think, do you think like if you given freedom to a student to decide like what he wants to become, he can take his decision?
I would certainly say that students should have nearly the total say in selecting which field they want to go. They must be given this freedom to choose their own subjects of liking. So unfortunately, that is lacking currently in our education system. Once you take commerce, then you are forced to do BCom, or if you take arts, then you are forced to do degree in arts. Likewise, I was once I chose engineering, and medicine was not my cup of tea, so I continued studying in engineering subjects. But the day I joined as aircraft maintenance engineer in Air India, within 3 years, though I was doing very well, I was a very good aircraft maintenance engineer, but I realized that this is not what I like most. So as I quit Air India, I quit Doordarshan to be with Air India. I continued to be aircraft maintenance engineer, but then I decided that I should pursue my education in management. And within 3 years of joining Air India, I started my part-time degree in financial management from Bajaj, which was 3 years course. And then I did my PhD. So by 1994, I was a PhD in management. And that is, I would say, that the field of my liking. And even though my life as an engineer was very, very busy, I started teaching it at Bajaj and at Narsi Munji. And since 1995, I have been a faculty in management in some or other institutes, including 6-7 years with IIT Bombay. And last 10 years, I have chosen to be as a full-time professor, first in NMIMS Mumbai, and then for last 7-8 years in Vivekananda Education Society as professor and director.
Okay, so now in fact, after your graduation, you got into public sector with Air India. Like, I'm sure the role which you have played in Air India, like more or less the leader, like do you think there's a lot of challenges as for the leadership which goes like a lot of conflicts within an organizations, and maybe there might be a conflict between the management, like, so how you used to how you used to take those things, like leadership aspects which are concerned?
When I was aircraft maintenance engineer, you would be surprised to know that in airline industry, pilots and aircraft engineers are part of a unionized category. Though their grades are in the management cadre, but they are unionized category. So as an aircraft maintenance engineer, I was member of Air India Aircraft Engineers Association, and it used to be a labor union kind of environment, even though, and in those days, I am talking about late 80s and early 90s, unions were ruling the roost. And in Air India, there were craft unions like Pilots Guild, and then by Aircraft Engineers Association, then Crews, Cabin Crew Association, and then ATC Union, and then so there were 7-8 very, very powerful unions. And there was always conflict between which union can dictate management to their terms. And within 7-8 years of joining Air India, I got pulled into this union work. And I fought an election and I became a general secretary of Air India Aircraft Engineers Union. And for 2 years I was general secretary. I took part in wage negotiation. There were conflict of interest with other unions, and those 2 years actually made me what I am today, because every day there used to be some issue coming up with engineers. I have to go to Delhi, I may have to go to ministry, or maybe in a month I will be in High Court or Supreme Court fighting labor cases and dealing with management. So I would say that those 2 years as General Secretary taught me what leadership is about. How do you negotiate? How do you save your members? And a democratic setup, because you have to listen to people. Everyone, when they come to you, they have a issue. You should be able to listen to them carefully, because if you don't listen to them, next time you will not get elected. So you have to listen to them, act on them, and even if their demands are not genuine, but you have to still listen to them and at least make a show that you are working towards solving them. So those 2 years actually transformed the way I used to deal with people, and that was the foundation of actually my future career when I became executive in 1997 as assistant general manager and then deputy general manager, and then all those things which I did, they were the outcome of my learnings as a union leader.
Okay, I think maybe when we talk in terms of leadership, a lot of risk factor which is there, you face a lot of conflicts which are there, and maybe I think within and group like people they criticize, to some extent it becomes a thankless job also, like but in the process, like when we talk in terms of leadership, as far as you are concerned, we have seen your journey from intelligence as far as your basic academic which are concerned, and also equally important as the emotional quotient which are there, like understand the human psychology, and based on that I think the decision which you have taken, like I'm sure it could have been a tough decision at that time.
No, the life was tough, because being a union leader in a challenging environment, like, and also to be a leader of one of the most powerful union, which can ground the whole airline in a moment's notice. So you have to act with responsibility. And I decided that I should have a very good relationship with the management, and I should not burden them with unnecessary demands. So we developed a very good relationship. We did some amazing work through this cooperation, and management also realized that the union, they should not always be considered as anti-management, and that's how we were able to do very good wage negotiations, and we became one of the best paid engineers in the country. So when you understand each other across the table, you can actually achieve a lot. So the whole approach has to be positive. The moment you start with some negative, or you look at your opponent as enemy or adversary, then you create situations of conflict, and which is going to damage everyone. So there has to be a constructive opposition, and you have to finally take care of the interest of people whom you are representing. Because of my union work, and then when I completed my PhD in management, the Air India management realized that I will be much better on their side than on the union. So they made me assistant general manager, of course through due process. And then they handed me the corporate planning and corporate training, that you handle these two issues along with managing my own engineering department. And for nearly 10 years, I conducted a lot of in-house corporate trainings in association with sometimes international bodies. And we trained nearly 20,000-30,000 employees of Air India in corporate culture change and taking care of customers, making a difference. I don't know any of those trainings actually made a difference to Air India and the way people were working, but it taught me a lot of things about the human psychology and how you should be dealing with customers.
I think that's a great sign of great leaders, how they manage between the management and the resources in which they are in life. So I'm sure you might have balanced the act between the management and the union over there. So I think many a times, like sometimes the leadership gets into in trouble, like however gentle you are, however careful you are in your strategy, and for sure, like you might be on the right track, but still you get into trouble. Any incidents of yours, like where you got into the trouble while being with Air India?
I was always in trouble. if you believe in what you believe in, and you are vocal about it, and you don't fear the consequences of your action, so there are always people who will be opposing to your viewpoints. But you have to navigate that, because I believe somebody told me that as long as you are in trouble and others are noticing you, it means you are doing something right. You may succeed or you may not succeed, but at least you are on the right track, because the indifference kills you in any organization. So as long as people are noticing you and talking about you, and you are talk of the town, whether for positive things or negative things, it means you are taking a stand and you want to do something. So I would say that you must continue to believe in yourself and your convictions, and continue to work on that.
I think whatever story we have seen of Dr. Satish Moore, right from his college days till now, I'm sure you've gone to the learning path at each and every phase. Let it be the public sector, let it be the challenges to what he had faced between the union and the corporate level, how he took an initiative in going ahead with the corporate training, corporate strategy, and also he was a member of a business transformation group. So can you tell something about a business transformation group?
Yeah, that was an interesting phase after Air India and Indian Airlines merger. Every merger is a difficult task, and when there are two companies which have their very strong identities, Indian Airlines people were very proud to be working with Indian Airlines, and Air India staff very proud to be working with Air India staff. So it was a very, very difficult phase in the history of this aviation sector, when these two airlines merged. And at the same time, Jet Airways and Kingfisher were also doing very well. So Air India management always thought of doing something differently, so that we can survive this competition. So based on my experience, overall experience in the union category, my deep relationship with every unions, and also my PhD in business strategy, they took me in business transformation group, where I worked with the managing directors, with the board, and with the chief operating officer to create a business plan for turning around Air India. I was part of the team which made this Air India Engineering Services Limited, then Air India Airport Services Limited. So it was again a very big learning experience, because I worked with some of the best international consultants, branching out or making these companies subsidiary companies within the Air India structure was a very difficult task. And first time I really learned advanced Excel, how to use that in business planning, and I realized that all strategies are finally based on numbers, that what should be your top line, what should be your bottom line, and how you are going to reach that. So for 1 year I worked very closely with SBI Caps people, and a team within Air India where director finance, marketing, they all were involved. And as a business transformation group member, we used to create various plans, present it to the board. Then many of the plans were simply thrown out by the board. This is not workable, this is not workable. Finally, we came out with a plan. At that time, Air India also started making huge losses, the combined merged entity. They had projected that they will make a good profit, but they started making 5,000 crore, 6,000 crore, 8,000 crore annual losses. So the time was very bad for Air India, and we needed fund from the government to support the airline, otherwise it will close down. And if the airline like Air India closes down, then there is no price stability in the aviation sector. It will be totally in the hands of private sector. So government also wanted to keep Air India alive. So We presented a plan which was accepted by the board, which was accepted by Finance Ministry. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee at that time was Finance Minister. They accepted the plan. And then they didn't believe the goodness of it, that how somebody can come out with such a plan. So it was vetted by, again, some international organizations. And finally it was approved. And that plan actually came into operation in 2011. And under that plan, government funded thousands of crores of rupees to keep Air India alive. And since Air India was kept alive, it was not allowed to die down like Jet Airways and Kingfisher. Today, at least government has realized some value, 18,000 crore, and it has been sold off to Tata's as an operational entity. And I am sure Tata's will turn around the airline. So I think that I may have played some small role in saving the airline and creating a strategy for Air India so that it survives and finally gets into good hands.
I think we have listened to the various interviews as an expert, advice as to the aviation which are concerned, which shows the in-depth insights to what you have about this entire industry. But somewhat, what made you going under because all the challenges were different in terms of a corporate training, in terms of corporate strategy, and in terms of a transformation role which you took. Like, what was the one thing which kept you going in the public sector?
No, I always thought that public sector is a good place to be in. There are people who want to work in public sector. And in fact, I did a survey in Air India once that why employees in public sector actually don't commit fully to the organization's goals. It was again approved by the top management, managing directors and all, and HR director. And we did the organization-wide survey, and the findings were very, very interesting. Many people who wanted to work for the airline, but because they were not getting enough opportunities because of the bureaucratic structure of the organization, they were using their talents outside the organization. So some of them had their businesses in the name of their spouse or whatever. Somebody is doing tuition or somebody is doing some small business. When we asked them, they said if given opportunities to work within Air India, they will close down all those activities and they will work fully because they have enough time and energy to work for the airline. So at that time, we started a new concept called Care Team. And at that time, in 90s, Air India came out with huge advertisements and also many articles in Times of India and other newspapers that Air India has come out with this concept of Care Team. What we did is we set up department-wise care teams, and those who were dealing with the employees within the organization, we call them internal customers, and those who are dealing with outside the airline, we call them customers. And these care teams at least work for 2-3 years, and it was a very good energizing experience within the airline. But unfortunately, as it happens in any public sector, the managing director who was supporting all these things, his tenure was over and a new managing director came in, and all these initiatives, he didn't like it, so he stopped this. So ups and downs are there, but public sector organizations, they give you enough scope. If you really want to do something, they give you enough scope to make a difference.
I think many times what we've seen in Indian scenario, like, first thing what our parents, they pushes their children to get into the public sector so that their life is secure. But here we've seen in case of Dr. Satish Mode, like, his academic journey was an excellent in MBA with a gold medal. Then he went and further studies as far as MFM, which is concerned from Bajaj Institute. And then being in the corporate, in the public sector, he never stuck to one particular role. Like many times we have seen people, they are stuck to a particular role, they do not take any additional responsibility, and they are there and they retire from there itself. But that's the reason we are saying it's an amazing leadership style of Dr. Satish Mode, where I think he went through the learning curve within an organization. And I'm sure if you are active and more proactive in your approach and you're eager to learn, I think you can really transform an organization, and in the entire process, you can build up the base like how Dr. Satish Mode had done in his case in his public sector. Like, I think there was a learning at each and every phase.